The title of this video is I Drink Water and I Hear Things. Yes, that is a play on the quote from Game of Thrones, and I'm very proud of it. Hello friends, my name is Ciara Jessica Giron, and I have a mental illness that is called schizophrenia. So this video is going to be a little bit different than my usual content, which is biology lectures. I wanted to make this video sort of like background information to my first video. I am schizophrenic. For those of you who don't know, I suffered my first psychotic episode during the fall season of 2017, and since then I've been in and out of mental health hospitals for the past 6 years. As for my most recent psychotic episode, it occurred during this past August of 2022, and I must say that this was the most intense psychotic episode that I've ever experienced, and it has led to me being confined to multiple mental health hospitals for the past 8 months. And so for this video, I kind of want to go over the events that led up to my first psychotic episode during the summer of 2017. And I also want to shed some light onto what factors might have caused me to develop this illness, as well as bring comfort to those who have loved ones who have this illness and want to understand more about this disease. Okay, I hope you're ready for summer of 2017, because that was indeed a wild ride for me. And looking back on it now, after all the stress that I endured, I'm honestly not that surprised that I had a mental breakdown. So at the start of summer 2017, I started a new job. It was at a psychiatry clinic. Suspicious foreshadowing. And this clinic specialized in transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is like a low-level version of electroshock therapy for depression patients. And I was not working as a tech or anything. I was working as an administrative assistant, just trying to get as much experience in the medical field as possible. To be quite honest, working in doctors' offices is very stressful. I've worked in 2 different offices, and I've felt very under pressure, wanting to be the best that I can be, trying to be perfect, because my work success depends on the comfort level of the patient in my office, as well as the streamlined process that the doctors and techs go through to provide their services. So I felt very under pressured and really scared to make a mistake, because a mistake on my part directly affects the health of someone else's. Regardless, it was the job that paid me the most money during college, so I used that money to fund my trip to Las Vegas for the first time with my girlfriends, which was very hard. We took lots of L's because it was all of our first times going to Vegas as adults, and we didn't really know how to navigate nightlife all that well, so that was stressful. I was also smoking a lot of weed, so that could probably explain why I was so paranoid and stressed. Try to imagine going into a dark car with Lyft and Uber, having a war with taxis, and just being around super old men that were creepy as fuck, and it was just a very antagonizing environment for me personally. After that Las Vegas trip in late July, I hung out with one of my friends from college, and I ended up losing my true virginity to that guy. And the day after that happened, I felt super strange and super ill, and I think I had some sort of sixth sense that I was pregnant. I don't know for sure because I didn't take a test. I just immediately bought Plan B for myself, and in hindsight, I probably should have talked to the guy about buying Plan B, but I just thought it wasn't that big of a deal, so I took care of it myself. And it's weird because I kind of like the guy, but it's fine. Anyway, I just wanted to take care of it myself, take the abortion pill, and I thought I'd be done with it. After that, I was then let go from my administrative assistant job from the psychiatry clinic. And although the split was amicable, I still felt like it was a blow to my confidence because I was studying really hard to become a professional in the medical field. So that stress of feeling like I failed put me into a really bad mood, I think, for the rest of summer. Despite being let down by being let go from that psychiatry clinic, I went to a really fun music festival called Day and Night with some of my friends from high school. And it was super fun because it was some of my friends' first time rolling on ecstasy. I will not name who, but it was very, very fun playing Rave Mom with one of my friends. And anyway, that was a good memory from summer of 2017. Then I went to Berkeley in September to see some of my friends who went to UC Berkeley, and that was where I took magic mushrooms for the first and only time, because magic mushrooms knocked me on my ass. Like, literally knocked me on my ass. Magic mushrooms, also known as psilocybin mushrooms, are a psychedelic product that individuals usually ingest to have, spiritual experiences, or just to explore different ways of thinking. At least that's what my purpose for taking magic mushrooms was. I don't know what anyone else thinks of taking magic mushrooms is for, but for me, taking psychedelic drugs was all about exploring different ways of thinking and different ways of talking with friends. And so I was curious, and I guess curiosity killed me instead of the cat. Anyway, so the night that I took magic mushrooms, we went to Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk at night, and I was still feeling ill, strange, like the way that I felt after taking the Plan B pill. I still felt that like aura, that something bigger than me was like with me, if that makes sense. So it kind of felt like I was riding the line between reality and losing my shit. But when the mushrooms hit me, I really lost my shit. So I hallucinated a good number of things that night at Santa Cruz. For example, like when me and my friends were trying to take pictures, all of our faces looked like they were melting together. I imagined that my ex-boyfriend was there sitting on a bench wearing a sweatshirt that he always wore, and he was talking to me about Jesus. And when I went outside and looked up at the night sky, it was like I could hear my mom worrying about me, and I low-key started crying. And then when we were on the drive home, I imagined a car was like chasing us in like a car chase, and I had to like give it the evil eye to make it go away. I was not in a good place. When I finally got home back from Berkeley after that trip, definitely a bad trip, was not a good trip. I arrived home just to go back to Vegas with my parents to see my mom compete in a bodybuilding competition. And during that whole time, I, in my head, was under the impression that the bodybuilding competition was like an alien competition for seeing who has the best fitness to survive in the human race. And that might be on the nose, but that's literally what I was thinking about, excuse me. When I finally got home after that last Las Vegas trip, I was trying to organize an alumni meeting event for my local high school to rising seniors, but because I was still losing my shit, I had the worst panic attacks the day of the alumni meeting that I was supposed to run. And it was like I was afraid of walking in sunlight, much less walking out of my room. So I spent the whole day sleeping, terrified that my family was gonna come in and eat me like zombies, and all of these other things that were going on in my head was just, my logical mind was like nowhere to be found, and I was grasping at straws, just trying to live and breathe and be a normal human being seemed like the hardest thing in the world for me at that point. Even after having all of these scary hallucinations for a period of a couple of weeks, I still had it in me to go back to Los Angeles for my senior year of college. And when I got back to my apartment, I almost starved myself. I cleaned my kitchen for 6 hours, and my roommate finally noticed that something was really wrong with me when she found me stomping in the shower because I was running in place, running from some demon that was in my head. And so she took me to the ER, and I met up with my friends there because they heard that I was having a really hard time. It was there at the on-campus hospital that I was first diagnosed as a 5150 patient, and I was ambulanced out to a bunker where they kept other schizophrenic patients at a mental health hospital. So now that you know my story, I want to tell you what I think happened to me from my perspective, and it's very clearly obvious that I lost my mind that summer, and I'm hoping that now I sound much more logical and in my head in a good way now. I have a few theories about what might have happened to me during that night that I took the psilocybin mushrooms. One, I died of mushroom poisoning. Two, God killed me because I aborted a child. I am not Catholic anymore. I am 100% Buddhist now. And three, I'm in a coma due to a car crash that happened the night that I took the psilocybin mushrooms. I'm clearly alive. Let's get that straight. I'm also an insomniac. I need very many antipsychotic medications and mood stabilizing medications just to fall asleep at night. And I have memorized all of my medications by heart. If you didn't already know this, schizophrenia is a genetically inherited disease. So chances were that I was genetically predisposed to developing schizophrenia. The amount of stress that I went through during the summer of 2017, including all the trips, flights, and drugs that I was taking, really stressed me out, like to extreme limits. And that is now why I take my mental health very seriously by drinking a lot of water, eating regularly, sleeping regularly, and keeping my stress limits down to a doable level. Do I have any advice for anyone who has schizophrenia? In my own experience, I don't believe that there's a one-size-fits-all treatment to schizophrenia. For me personally, keeping good sleep hygiene is the most effective way to prevent myself from enduring psychotic episodes, and I also stay away from all drugs and alcohol now, as any substance abuse really puts my mental health at risk. What is my experience now? Right now, 6 years after my first psychotic episode, I hear voices in my head that range from family and friends to actors and actresses, cartoons and animals, to aliens and dragons, and origami animals, to my paintings at home. So as you can see, as you can hear, I have very many voices in my head going on all at once. Sometimes one at a time, but mostly a lot of conversation. As I know now that schizophrenia is a lifelong mental illness, I'm trying to make the most of my experience by sharing my knowledge and sharing what I've learned through this platform on YouTube. And I hope to reach the families and individuals who are affected by this mental illness. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.